Hi Taurus, and welcome to your horoscope for 2025. Thanks for joining me. Please watch my horoscopes in this order: rising sign first, then sun sign, and finally your moon sign. And what I'm going to do in this horoscope is I'm going to have a look at the retrogrades of the personal planets in 2025, the 4 eclipses that we have coming up, and also, quite amazingly, we have 4 outer planets changing signs, which is really rare. Outer planets move very, very slowly. So the fact that we have 4 of them making this change, first of all, says that 2025 is going to look and feel very different to the way 2024 did. And they give us a glimpse not just into 2025, but for the rest of the decade, because they're doing exactly what Pluto did this year in 2024. In January, it moved into Aquarius. Then it retrograded for the final time into Capricorn from September, October to November. And then it moved forward into Aquarius again. And now it's going to stay there until 2043. And the other 4 planets are doing that as well. So there are certain months of 2025 that are going to feel very different, and they will settle in those signs in 2026. So it's kind of an announcement initially of what's yet to come over the next few years. So let's start with the personal planets then. Mercury retrogrades 3 times this year. Mercury is the communication planet. The good thing about Mercury retrograde is that you're able to see things very differently. The downside of it is that communication and transportation becomes a little bit more stifled, and things are delayed, and it can be a little bit of a frustration. So the first time it retrogrades is on the 14th of March until the 17th of April. And that happens in your 12th house of spirituality, where it's in Aries, and then it retrogrades back into Pisces in your 11th house of hopes and dreams. So for you, Taurus, that's kind of interesting, because you're going to be willing to look at your relationships to the higher realms very differently. If you're someone who just bases things on facts and figures and practicals, you may be surprised that you start to tap into your own intuition and to say, hey, what does my heart tell me about this, as well as my head? And I feel this is a really good one for you, actually, because if you do become willing to listen to the spiritual realms, the higher realms, that you'll be given some sort of a hope and dream for your life that you haven't considered yet. So your imagination is fired, your spiritual awareness is fired, and if you then implement those ideas you received during this first retrograde, you're able to build something in your life that's going to be really rewarding and will make you happy. The second one is on the 17th of July until the 11th of August. And that happens in your 4th house of family, your roots, and what makes you feel like you belong and like you're home. And Mercury is in Leo at this time. And that will give you an insight into your own relationships and your role in things. So if you notice that you have conflict in your relationships, or there's a sense that, I don't belong or I'm not home, the Mercury retrograde offers you a different point of view on this. And if there is anything that needs changing about the way you approach these things, you'll understand those quite quickly and you'll be able to make those changes. And then the final time it retrogrades is in November, from the 9th of November until the 29th of November. And at this point, it's in Sagittarius in your 8th house, and it retrogrades into Scorpio in your 7th house. So that's also very useful, because you'll consider the relationships you have with institutions, the authorities, communities of people, big groups, and what your role is in those groups. And I think you may consider, how can I start something of my own, or how can I move out of one of these relationships that don't feel like I have a lot of freedom, and how can I replace that with a sense of adventure and independence and doing something myself? And when it retrogrades into Scorpio in your 7th, again, it's an insight into what role do I play in my relationships? What are the real root causes here? So Taurus, if there's been an unwillingness to take accountability, or if you've heard the same thing again and again and again and you really disagree with it, it may be that here in 25 via the Mercury retrograde that you become willing to say, maybe this could be better, and maybe I am creating difficulties for myself by hanging on to certain behavior patterns that don't go down very well, that don't land well with other people. and to have that willingness to change and to say, I'm not just going to dig in my heels and be stubborn and say, this is what I am. There's a recognition that we all have things we need to work on and improvements can be made. So it's very optimistic and hopeful and very mature in the sense of I'm also examining my part in things. The next personal planet that retrogrades is Venus. Venus is the planet of love and beauty and creativity. When that retrogrades, I always mention it's not the best time to start a new business or relationship because your perception of what you love is very different. And then sometimes there can be this experience when you come out of it, like, what was I thinking there? Why did I love that so much? So it retrogrades from the 1st of March until the 12th of April. Oh, and it's in Aries in your 12th house of spirituality. So again, it's if everything in my life is just about relationships with other people, or I source my ideas from my intellect, in that 12th house, you're going to start to feel the love of the universe, and you're going to start to feel much more empowered to take action moving forward once the planet goes direct. And also new ideas are being dropped into your mind, and it's almost like the universe is taking care of you and making you willing to see other options and different opportunities that you hadn't considered before. So far via the personal planets, this is very much about a Taurus who's introspective and who's willing to adapt so that the everyday experience is easier and more enjoyable. Mars retrogrades from the 6th of December 2024, so it's already in retrograde, and it stays in retrograde until the 23rd of February 2025. Mars is the planet of ambition, drive, what I want, what I'm not going to compromise on, and it's in Cancer in your 3rd house of communication. So when Mars goes retrograde, on the downside, there's less energy, there's less drive, but on the plus side, again, there's a willingness to compromise and to say, I don't need to be 100% busy and productive every second of my life. I also get to relax, and I get to see the other person's point of view, and I get to explore things which are not necessarily designed to have some sort of productive outcome at the end of things. So with it being in Cancer, it makes you far more generous when it comes to other people, giving people the benefit of the doubt, as well as giving yourself the benefit of the doubt. So Taurus, if you have any holidays that you want to plan, I think January and February are really good for that. But also if you're a Taurus who works creatively, I think that Mars in Cancer will help you to express your own ideas and creative insights in a beautiful way. Moving on to the eclipses. An eclipse is either a new moon or a full moon that's interrupted. And because of that interruption, the energy is accessible and can be felt for about 6 years. So the first one is a full moon in Virgo. It's a lunar eclipse that happens on the 13th or 14th of March, depending on your time zone. But for you, that happens in your 5th house of what you love and romantic relationships, what you love to do and work. Can be also your children, and it can be playtime. And the moon in Virgo is about getting things organized and getting them healed, and in such a way that they make sense. So this lunar eclipse, the moon being your heart in Virgo, is kind of like the spiritual nurse saying, tend to your own feelings, tend to what you love. And if you're if your relationship status isn't something that you want it to be, so if you're in a relationship or you don't want to be, or you're single and you want to be in a relationship, the moon in Virgo here, this eclipse, it really allows you to take stock of reality and what is. And because Virgo is an earth sign, that information will then lead you to say, okay, if I want things to change here, I can take certain action steps to make that different. So again, it's very empowering, and you're almost looking at love and romance as a business that you can organize and that you can get sorted out. There's a real sense of maturity again, as in I don't have to tolerate things that I don't like, and I also don't feel like I have to accept what life throws at me. I can throw back. And if I want something, it's attainable and I can make it happen. Particularly if I have a hope and dream for my life, I will now understand how I can implement that or what I can do moving forward to get what I want. And that then lasts until August, September. A few days later, on the 29th of March, we have a new moon in Aries, and that's a solar eclipse. And again, that happens in your 12th house of spirituality and spiritual strength. And that's very likely for you to have some sort of spiritual awakening or a really strong relationship to the higher realms by now that says, here's some power, here's confidence, here's the blueprint. If you believe this is something that should be in your life, then the Aries energy, fire, life purpose, the universe, your higher self, your ancestors, your guides, it will feel like you're working hand in hand with them and that they're supporting you in getting what you want. And that eclipse is flanked by Chiron, the wounded healer, you're transiting midheaven, and Mercury. So it's your willingness to see things differently. That means you can heal past disappointments, you can realize your hopes and dreams, and you can also make changes to your career and have the confidence to let go of certain things and to bring in new ones if that's what you want. So Taurus, so far, this is a year where you're really showing up in the most grounded, sensible kind of way, and you're saying anything is possible. So you're grounded in the sense of I'm willing to do the work, but you're very open-minded in the sense that if I dream it, it can happen. And I think that's a wonderful combination because you can manifest whatever it is you want then. So both those eclipses support you till August, September. And then if we move to September, we've got the next lot of eclipses. They always come in twos, right? So on the 7th, the day before my birthday, we have got a full moon in Pisces, and that's a lunar eclipse. And that happens in your 11th house of hopes and dreams. So again, it's a visitation from the higher realms that say, if you don't have anything you're working on, if you don't have a sense that wonderful, amazing, miraculous things can happen in your life, here you go, here's some dreams handed to you on a silver platter, make it happen. So any Taurus who's had a tough time or has been discouraged, 2025 really seems like the universe is taking an active interest in you designing and creating the kind of life that you've always wanted to live. On the 21st of September, we have a new moon in Virgo, and that's a solar eclipse, and that happens again in your 5th house of romantic relationships and what you love. So Virgo, I often associate with the spiritual nurse. So you're tending to your own life and bringing more things that you love into it. And both these eclipses in September, they last until the end of the year and beyond into, what would it be, February, March of 2026. Yeah. So there's a lot of hope for things getting better, and the source of that is your belief that life can be anything you want it to be. Okay, so let's move on to the outer planets then. On the 30th of March until the 22nd of October, we have Neptune going into Aries. Neptune is the water planet of dreams and intuition, and it rules Pisces, and that's the sign it's been in for the last few years. Neptune is like the higher octave of Venus. Venus, love and creativity. Neptune is love and connection of humanity, and it impacts us on a much larger scale, right? So with that going into Aries in your 12th house of spirituality, it's not so much about just accepting things as they are. It's now saying I am positioning myself, so it's me versus the world, my life, my circumstances, and not in a kind of combative way, but in a way that says, if I have a dream, it's down to me to make it happen. Acceptance is fine and good and proper, but it's not accurate here because I can make improvements. And also it's the courage and the confidence to say, I'm going to fight for what I want, and I'm going to put all of my energy, as well as the energy that I'm getting from the higher realms right now, to build these things. Aries is the first sign in the zodiac, so for Neptune to make this shift is really the beginning of a whole new cycle in your life, And it's not just try again, it may even be I'm going to try for the first time because I want it for myself. So Neptune takes 165 years to go around the 12 zodiac signs, right? And it spends 12 to 13 years in each sign. So for you, Taurus, that Neptune in Aries in your 12th is a wonderful thing because it's, I believe in myself. I'm a spiritual being having a human experience. Therefore, I can have and manifest anything I want. On a more generalized level, Neptune in Aries means that on a societal level, there's going to be more of an outlet for creativity. There'll be more real innovation in the arts, healing, and idealism. On the 22nd, it goes back into Pisces until the end of the year, and then in 26, it will stay in Aries. So you have access to this pretty much for the next 13, 14 years. On the 24th of May, until the 1st of September, we have Saturn moving out of Pisces and into Aries. And that is really interesting as well because Saturn is the outer planet of structure and security, and it rules Capricorn, the sign of the worker. And that makes sense, right? If I try hard, I want something to show for it. But Saturn in Pisces has been in your 11th house of hopes and dreams. And again, it would have made you potentially a little too willing to accept things as they are, rather than to confront them and to say, well, that may be true for you, but I'm certainly not going to tolerate this, and I want what I want, when I want. And with Saturn going into Aries now, it joins Neptune, right? Saturn in Aries is really the foundation and the thing that I rely on most in my life is not somewhere out there. It's in my connection to the higher realms and my belief that I'm strong and that I'm focused and that I can overcome any obstacle and hurdle that is thrown at me. So Taurus, the sense of self-belief just grows and grows and grows as the year goes on. And it doesn't mean that you're constantly going to be fighting with people or that you're constantly turning your back on things. It's a very quiet, cool, calm confidence that exists within you. And it's independence because you're not relying on anyone to save you. You're not relying on some sort of outside force to make things better. You realize that the best thing exists in you and that you just need to spill it outwards and make it real. So Saturn takes 29 years to orbit the sun. So Saturn return is like 28 to 29 and a half years, right? So about 29 years. And it stays in each sign for 2.5 to 3 years. So that will now be in your 12th house of spirituality and spiritual strength. So the next 2.5 to 3 years are going to see you being far more confident and far more active in pursuing what it is you want. If you look at it on a societal level, one period where Saturn was in Aries was in 1967 to 1969, and that was a period of great societal change and people not accepting things as they are. But there was also a war during that period. So you see what I'm saying, it's all of this self-belief and unwillingness to accept. It's good for you personally, but as a society, it probably means that things become more fiery and more combustible. On the 9th of June until the 29th of June, Jupiter, the planet of good luck and good fortune, that moves out of Gemini and moves into Cancer. So, out of all of these outer planets that I've mentioned that are changing signs and that they're so significant, Jupiter changes once a year. So it's not as significant because Jupiter out of all of the outer planets moves the quickest. And it only takes 12 years to go around the zodiac. But here for you, Jupiter goes out of Gemini and it moves into Cancer in your 3rd house of communication. And that's really wonderful because abundance and good fortune is because you're warmer towards yourself and you're more interested in meeting your own needs. But it also supports you in your creative output. So if you're a writer, an artist, a dancer, a performer, it will really help you there. But again, it means you have compassion for other people and you become more willing to not only fight for your own hopes and dreams, but for other people's as well. So 25 Taurus, I think you're going to feel much more empowered, and you're going to be much clearer on who you are, what you want, and how you can get there. And then the final shift of an outer planet on the 7th of July till the 7th of November, we have Uranus, the planet of the miraculous and the unexpected, that changes out of Taurus and into Gemini. And that's really good news because Uranus is really the unexpected or the uncontrollable. And in Taurus, it's caused a lot of financial ups and downs for everyone. It's been a little hard to predict, right? With it going into Gemini, it moves into your second house of money, Taurus. So a lot of good inner energy coming into your financial sector. And Gemini is like a doorway, and it's about problem solving and it's about understanding. So from the 7th of July till the 7th of November, just check what your finances, what's happening in your finances, because I think they'll improve greatly. You'll see a lot more momentum in that area. And also with Saturn and Neptune in your 12th, you have a lot more energy to focus on that and to create energy in that sector of your life. So if one of the hopes and dreams for you is, I want to make some money so I can get on the property ladder and have my own place, then Uranus really supports you in that as well. So Uranus moves slowly. It takes 84 years to go around the entire zodiac, and it's in each sign for 7 years. So again, that bodes really well for you in terms of your finances, not just in 2025, but moving through the rest of the decade. And you, Taurus, are an earth sign that's ruled by Venus, and you guys have a natural affinity for money in the sense that you have an intuitive knack for it. So if that's something that you want to look into next year, I really support you in that, and I think you'll have a very pleasant outcome. So I hope that gives you an idea of what you'll be working with next year. I hope you have an amazing time. If you'd like a personal reading with me, please get in touch via my website, gregoryscott.com. Click on book your reading to audio reading with me. In my personal readings, I use astrology, the tarot, numerology, as well as my intuition. And I need your place of birth, date of birth, and time of birth to draw up your natal chart. If you don't have the time of birth, then order a chart rectification with me, please. That's a process where you send me 10 or more life events and I actually work out your time of birth. Makes it much more accurate, the ascendant and the house placements particularly. So if you have any questions around life purpose or vocational aptitudes, friendships, spiritual development, investments, selling houses, buying houses, personal development, family life, anything at all, please do get in touch with me for personal reading. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Please hit subscribe for more videos and share it with anyone who you may think would be interested in this video to help the channel grow. And also, I do a daily tarot reading on the channel. If you'd like to watch those, then please become a member. That would be great. Have a wonderful 2025, and I'll speak to you soon.